Welcome back to another episode of the Body Buddies podcast. This is episode number 193, live Q&A with KJ.
Welcome to Body Buddies, home of the Power Foods lifestyle. Take it one meal, one workout, one day at a time. And now, here's the founder of Body Buddies, Kristy Jo.
In case we haven't met before, my name is Kristy Jo. I am a mind and body strategist who helps you bridge the gap between the science of optimality in nutrition and fitness and the reality of your day-to-day life and psychology. If you want to lose weight, feel better, blast through brain fog, increase your energy, see some muscle definition, soothe digestive distress, and gain a healthier relationship with your body and food, you are in the right place. You can find me on Facebook and YouTube as Body Buddies or Instagram as Bod Buds. Today's episode is brought to you by Nick Sticks. Now, you know I only recommend those products and foods that are really, really natural, helpful to your body in healing, whether you are already healthy and wanting to stay that way, or whether you are trying to repair and to help your body to evolve back into a healthier state, manage a condition. So Nick's Sticks, which if you tap on your screen on your smartphone, I've linked it up for you. Nick makes snack sticks that start with 100% grass-fed beef and free-range turkey. Then they add organic seasoned salt blended into the proprietary recipe. They are the cleanest and best tasting snack sticks you can find. I interviewed Nick Wallace on the Body Buddies podcast a long time ago. If you go to the podcast and just search for Nick or Nick Sticks or grass-fed beef, you will find it. The thing I love about these sticks, especially in comparison to cheaper alternatives like Slim Jim or some of these other generic brands, which, oh my gosh, don't get me started on how nasty that ingredient list is. These do not have any MSG, monosodium glutamate, if that's new to you, no nitrates, no antibiotics, no hormones, no sugar, no red dye, and no gluten. These are part of my regular food plan as a busy person on the go. In fact, just barely got back from the grocery store and was really sad because there is a store actually here in Salt Lake City that does carry these, and so they did not carry them. So guess who is getting online right now to order from Nick Sticks? So if you use my link, I do get a small commission off that purchase. So if you ever do buy, I do appreciate you using that link just as a thank you for sharing good products with you and being a resource for getting the right stuff to you. So again, you can get that link in the profile if you just tap on this screen, or you can just type it in. If you're not familiar with URL shorteners, it's just a bit.ly, so bit.ly/, and then type in Bod Buds, BODBUDS, Nick's Sticks, NICKS All right, my friends, so this week I am bringing to you the audio version of my live Q&A I did on Facebook Live, and this is a part of the free information I give out. I really amp it up and try to give lots and lots and lots of value during our enrollment times. We are enrolling right now for fall semester 2018 of the PFL Academy. PFL standing for Power Foods Lifestyle. If this is new to you, this is a 12-week online course which is going to help you, whether you're starting from scratch in your learning, whether you are already healthy and you've got a lot of good things going, but it really marries nutrition, strategy for you, plus psychology and emotions, so that you really become the strategist of your own health. It's going to completely help you unravel the myths and misinformation you have been fed probably your whole life and find the truth as you are applying them principle upon principle, lesson by lesson, week by week, and the hierarchy of importance. The Academy, there's really nothing that ever rivals it. So I'm just really thrilled with it, thrilled with the outcome for so many of our previous students, and hope that you will join us as prices do go up every year. So 2019, we are looking at a price increase. So get in while you can. Head over to powerfoodslifestyle.com/enroll. Now, in this episode, I'm going to be answering 11 questions that came in for this live Q&A. And so we are going to cover everything from how to get and stay motivated to how to eat post-bariatric surgery. I had a whole list. Let's be honest, I had a whole list of the questions, and I just went back into my notes so that I could read them for you, and they're gone. And I checked recently, deleted, and they're not there either. So this, I think it's just worth listening to because I do cover a big spectrum, help you think differently. And so, you can just go ahead and tune on in. It is a longer one, so it might be good to listen in 2 or 3 chunks. But the biggest thing, my request to you, is just turn on your brain to think like a strategist. Anyway, I hope you are being active in our online social media. I really do love seeing people's names, like, you know, who is active. And it's always bizarre to me when I like see someone's name and then they're like, oh my gosh, you changed my life. And I'm like, I've never seen your name. Like, you gotta comment on stuff. You gotta like stuff. Like, let me know who you are. If you are doing this, if you are in the Body Buddies game, if you're doing Power Foods Lifestyle, if I'm helping you, please let me see your name. You may think that I don't care, because there are a lot of you, but the fact is, my friends, like, I do care a lot. And ask my boyfriend, like, I tear up at so many messages, and it is meaningful. And that's the biggest thing in my life at this point that makes me do what I do, is things that are meaningful. So it is meaningful to me when you do take the time to reach out and let me know what is going well in your life due to the things that I do for you, and vice versa, letting me know what else I could do for you. If I haven't developed something, haven't talked on a topic enough that you really are dealing with, please have that communication channel. I am very accessible online. Shoot me a message on the Body Buddies Facebook page, send me a DM on Instagram. I think those are the best ways to get in touch with me. So I look forward to hearing you. All right, let's rock and roll. All right, hopefully you all have songs that really speak to your heart too. That Rise Up by Andra Day is one of my favorites, because everything I do in my life as a coach, some people call me a life coach, a nutritionist, a trainer, and the reality is I am a strategist. I'm a mind and body strategist. So anything that falls in your body, the way you think, your emotions, spirituality, fitness, the way you eat, anything that falls in that is what I help with. And so I really take any question. I don't profess to know all the answers, but I do like to help you think critically, and I'm very known for challenging people in their thoughts. And so I'm excited to be here tonight with you guys and do this live Q&A. I realize most people will be watching this afterwards, so if you are joining us after, please be sure you leave a comment so that I know who has watched this. So Lisa's here, Jenny's here. Hi guys. I love when you comment, and we will be doing some giveaways as this goes throughout. So make sure that you are very visible, that I can see you, and there's no rhyme or reason to how I'm doing giveaways. I just have a bunch of books and shirts that I like to give away. So, all right, before we dive into questions, we did have 11 questions come in. So at 5 after the hour, I will set my timer. That gives me 5 minutes per question. If you have been around me before, you know I like to give very clear explanations and talk in, around, through, up, and beyond all questions, because the fact is all of us think differently. You all have unique situations. And so my job isn't to give you a clear answer, yes, no, maybe so. My job is to help you really understand the framework of what's involved so that you are empowered to make better decisions and feel more confident in what you're doing. The first question, though, that I have been getting a lot, this is just an extension. I didn't dye my hair. It's just bead up here. And second question is, this is just a class. This is not a piercing. So those are the two most frequently asked questions in real life with people. So I do want to mention before we begin, I am not a doctor. I am not a registered dietitian, and currently working with some doctors who they're like, and thank goodness you're not. That's the reason we're working with you, and doing some cool projects behind the scenes, hoping to really get some big things going. There's some big things in progress, and it's just very exciting. So I have to tell you my disclaimer, please consult your primary care physician before applying any of the advice or recommendations made today. Please be smart, clear things. I'm not going to give you anything extreme. I'm going to give you things that I'm pretty confident work, but still, especially if you're on certain medications, you have certain conditions, please always do check with your primary care physician. And of course, always go with your intuition. Secondly, we are enrolling for fall semester of the Power Foods Lifestyle Academy. Power Foods Lifestyle Academy is 12 weeks of an online course where you and I get to sit down at your computer, at your tablet. It is designed for computer or tablet, and we get to chat. I teach you. It's all video format, so it's very much like this. I'm sitting here talking to you, and I have built this 12-week course very methodically. Having coached thousands of people, knowing the process by which we acquire new information, override old information that is not correct. It's called reprogramming if you're new to Body Buddies. That's a big thing of what we do here, because there's a lot of misinformation. We have to learn the right ways to think about our bodies and about food and about fitness and all of the above. There's a lot. I mean, there's just incorrect information out there, and it can skew your perception of what reality is. And so there is a huge re-education process. So Power Foods Lifestyle Academy is the best thing I've ever created at Body Buddies. And so I do encourage you, whether you are new here, whether you are semi-new here, whether you're a veteran, if you have not yet done the Academy, I do encourage you to make that a priority to do, if not this semester, in winter 2019. And I just scraped my nose doing that. All right, it is 6 after the hour, so let's go ahead and dive right into our questions. Thank you to everybody who submitted their questions. I have chosen to keep all names anonymous, so go ahead and just listen for your question. And I think we got a good smattering, a good mixture of nutrition, mindset, and fitness. And of course, I weave spirituality into almost everything. So let's go ahead and get started. My timer is on for 5 minutes per question. All right, let's go. Question number 1, I am a 30-year-old male with over 50 pounds to lose. I work 3 12-hour shifts that are late at night, so my schedule is way off. What are your thoughts on keto for someone like me? I keep seeming to hear about it. Okay, so you have a not normal schedule. So anytime we're dealing with a not normal schedule, we have to really look at, is it realistic for you to be able to eat small, consistent meals? Of course, whenever we're looking to prime our metabolism and especially stay ahead of hunger, the first recommendation, of course, is to go every small, frequent meals. But what is keto? For those of you who don't know, ketosis is where we switch our brains over from functioning off glucose, which is its primary fuel, in other words, sugar coming from carbohydrates. We switch it over, we deplete it of glucose so that it switches over into its backup mechanism called ketones. And ketones can fuel your brain, and they're very therapeutic. Keto can be wonderful. I recommend it for 3 demographics. I have many Facebook Lives and podcasts and lots of information out there on it. All you gotta do is Google Body Buddies Ketosis and you'll find all my stuff. But to make it simple, 3 demographics I recommend keto for. Women who need, well, women and men who need extreme hormone resets. Number 2, extremely obese individuals who really need to get the weight off quickly. I wouldn't say 50 pounds is extremely, everything's relative though, right? For him, he's ready to get it off. And the 3rd demographic is cancers and tumors. So do I recommend it just for anyone wanting to lose weight? Heck no. No. And let me tell you why. Is because our inclination to eat around our emotions and stress and the ups and downs of life, the vicissitudes of life, they're real. And the fact is our food is so programmed into the way that we manage ourselves. Emotional eating exists for almost every single person. If you didn't listen to my most recent podcast interviewing a PhD on psychology, that would be a great one to listen to. So for this individual though, I would ask you to consider, number 1, what is your emotional attachment to food? When you have a bad day, when you are stressed, when things in your life aren't going well, when you have a fight with your significant other, do you tend to medicate with carbohydrates? Is that something that in the past you've never been able to get away from? While on one hand, yes, doing keto and doing it seriously will absolutely curb those cravings, the fact is strong emotions will override the physiological abatement of those things. So you need to really commit to the fact that you're going to be keeping all carbohydrates out. Unfortunately, some people approach keto like they would a low carb or a carb cycle. And the fact is, those are not the same things. True ketosis, medical ketosis, is the absolute depletion of glucose. You can't just bring it in and cycle it in every few days. No, that's called carb cycling, okay, or low carb. So be clear, if you want to function off ketones, you want to get all the brain therapy, you want to get the absolute stable blood sugar that can absolutely put your body in a deficit and burn fat faster, then keto could be right for you. I do not like how it is so trendy right now, because the fact is most people cannot sustain it. And without a solid plan of how to reverse out of keto and slowly add in, I recommend 10 grams of carbohydrates every 2 weeks. Most people do not have that discipline. Then you are setting yourself up for rapid weight gain, metabolic destruction, as your body cannot handle the amount of incoming glucose. And so if your body has shut down its responsiveness and all the cell receptors to glucose are like, not responding, not responding. Where else is there for the glucose to go but shuttle to body fat? Around the visceral organs, stomach, thighs, hips, etc. I think keto is fantastic for the right person. So I recommend to you do your homework on it. I'm going to type in my link that has all of my information on it. If you will listen to all 6 of the podcasts, if you will download my keto foods list, do it the Power Foods Lifestyle way, which is not absorbed in the saturated fats of all these fatty meats and the dairies and the cream cheeses and the butters. Do keto the Power Foods Lifestyle way. You will do it healthily, you will feel amazing, and you will reach good success. So I'm going to type that for you guys right now. I'm pretty sure this is my link for it. If it comes up, let's cross our fingers. Jenny says, I need another PFL book, loaned it and never got it back. Awesome. Okay, Kristy's here too. Very cool. Did that link come up? I think that's it. powerfoodslifestyle.com/ketosis. And I made it with 10 seconds. So dude, as far as one last comment on keto, I would definitely, with your schedule, look at my intermittent fasting podcast. It's in the last 10 podcast episodes. And if you're going to do keto with that schedule, I'd recommend doing it IF style, so that you're only eating 3 meals a day, 4 hours apart, but within those 3 meals, it's keto style. Okay? All right, next question. Timer is on. How do you keep yourself focused? When I get off track for one day, I tend to throw in the towel and it takes me weeks to get rededicated again. Hashtag welcome to life, right? So keeping yourself focused. There's so many personality types in this world, right? And the worst thing that I could do is tell you, well, suck it up, because I'm a naturally driven person. I can't explain where my drive comes from. It's just innate, and it's exciting to me, and I like lists, and I like accomplishment. I like gold stars for myself, and that's not fair for me to say, you just need to do those things. But I just want to give you some ideas and suggestions that have been very helpful for other people. And that would be number 1. Alarms in your phone are wonderful because they remind you of what you want. You have to remember that most of the time, you will not feel like doing what you have made a goal to do. 90 to 95% of the time. Once you make an initial decision, you set a goal, you're like, I'm going to lose the weight. I'm going to start going to the gym. I'm going to get really fit. My recent thing is I'm going to be a competitive rock climber. And then the next day I'm like, yeah, right. No, I'm done. I'm going back to my yoga dance thing. Right. And so who knows? Yeah, we'll visit that. But the emotion, when we say it, that dissipates. And unfortunately, a lot of people expect that emotion to be consistent. And so they're like, well, I just don't feel like working out today. I don't feel like prepping my meals. I don't feel like eating that food that I prepped. And guess what? 90 to 95% of the time when you don't feel like doing it, you discipline yourself and you say, I will do it because that's who I am. And that comes from a lot of times you need to sit down, you need to write a constitution for yourself. You need to write a code of conduct. So I would recommend, number 1, think about that. Think about sitting down with a journal and saying, who am I? What do I expect of myself? Where's my discipline at? What would I like to accomplish? And what type of person would I like to be known for in 5 years? Oftentimes we think a little too big and we think lifetime accomplishments. No, whittle it down a little bit. Think about here and now, 2 to 3 months maybe. Another thing is the alarm in the phone to go off once a week on a Sunday night. I've been preaching this for 6 years. Set your weekly goals in 4 categories. You got to have a little whiteboard, or you need to get a 3x5 card and write down one specific goal. Now, the thing is, this is not something you want to achieve. No, it's something you are going to do that will lead into what you want to have accomplished or achieved by the end of the week. And so 1 in nutrition, 1 in fitness, 1 in mindset, and 1 in spirituality. Now, spirituality is not religion. I'm not going to go into that right now, but spirituality can be something as simple as I'm going to meditate for 3 minutes a day. Wonderful app to download, Insights. Go download it. Wonderful meditation tool. And it could be something like, I have 100 people who on Facebook on my personal timeline, I did this Power 15 challenge. If any of you guys are doing it, do it. It's incredible. And that could be a wonderful goal to do for 7 days. When you set specific goals, what happens on a cognitive level, it's about
getting the inertia of just like sitting there and not doing anything. It's about building confidence. Our brain is naturally programmed. When you have a small win, it wants another win. And so the key is not to set those as huge things. It could be something as simple as, I am going to eat leafy greens at lunch every day this week. For fitness, I am going to focus on squeezing the 10th rep of every rep I do, or I am going to put out my tennis shoes by the door so I actually go walking after work. It could be something very simple, but it needs to be something that you can actually do that will facilitate the accomplishment you want to have at the end of the week. And you repeat, repeat, repeat. And the key is you've got to see those goals every single day. In my book, I talk about 3 places you need to have your goals. You need to have them on the dashboard of your car, you need to have them on the fridge, and you need to have them on your bathroom mirror. Those are 3 wonderful places that will keep you focused. You're there a lot, and if you see them, it's all about prefrontal cortex. Prefrontal cortex is the part of your brain, is the stage of your brain. And so if you are expecting yourself to remember everything and do everything, it's not going to happen. You have to program into your day. That's why alarms are so amazing. You need to program in the opportunity for those thoughts to come and ding you over the head and be like, oh yeah, that's what you want. Oh yeah, that's who you are. Affirmations. I literally just got off a coaching call where I had one of my alarms go off to do a little mental check on something. And I shared it with her and she's like, oh my gosh, why don't I have that alarm in my phone? I said, why don't you? Go set it. You know, and so it's just the little things. What do you bring into your mind? And so perhaps it's, what's the outcome? That's what Tony Robbins always talks about. What's your outcome of what you want? Decrease the time that you stay down. And I will just throw in on the emotional level, knock it off for shaming yourself for not being perfect. Knock it off. Stop it. Like that's not going to serve you. And I know that we all feel like, oh, that's like going to push me into being better. And I'm going to say, no, that's going to program you into a lot of negativity. True progression does not come from hate and loathing. It comes from love, compassion, and encouragement. And so use those words, use those phrases, use those voices in your mind, set those weekly goals, and just seek to decrease the number of days until you get going again. Don't wait till Monday. Make it a rule that you will break the status quo. You will never start something new on a Monday. You will never start the next morning. You will go completely against the grain by starting on a Thursday. You will go against the grain by starting at 2:37 p.m. Go against the grain, break the mold, and you will find a lot more success in getting and staying rededicated. All right, number 3. I don't think this one will take too long. Maybe it will. I think I'd like to explain this. Number 3, what are your thoughts on buy drinks? Buy. Dun, dun, dun. Who's old enough to like remember that? Oh, yeah, I'm getting to that point. My young high school dancers are not knowing the music that I love. That's embarrassing. So all you older than me are like, yeah, we know. So buy drinks. If you're unfamiliar with these, they're super popular lately. Why? Because they claim no sugar, and you look at the calories and the sugar, which most people, that's as far as they look if they're not Power Foods lifestyle trained, and they're like, cool, this is a great drink. Well, let me explain a few things that I'd like to caution you on. If you have not yet been through my training in PFL Academy or on the podcast or blogs about the microbiome, I began speaking about this pretty heavily in January of this year. The microbiome being all of the gut bacteria, it's the second brain. And it is the connection to basically what triggers your genetic coding to either manifest or to stay dormant. If you have good gut bacteria, we're talking trillions of bacteria in your gut, then you have a much better opportunity to fight any genetic predisposition you have, whether or not you have certain DNA or not. One of my favorite phrases from my dietitian friend, she always says, your genetics load the gun, your choices pull the trigger. And that's true, and we've absolutely seen that. And I love talking with my dad, who's a medical anatomy teacher and teaches biology in high school. And just the other week, and we're sitting in California, everyone left the conversation because we were just going off about all of the connections of the bacteria and the cells and what people have control over versus not have control over. And it was fascinating. I was like, Dad, I'm so glad you get it. Thank you. Anyhow, going back to the buy drinks, what we want to look out for is that it's very trendy right now. now, due to manufacturers' awareness that people are looking at sugar and looking at calories, that they are now using a lot of sugar alcohols. What are sugar alcohols? Well, they're not going to make you drunk if you are totally new to this. You can identify them, look in your ingredients list. On any product, just flip it over, and anything that ends with TOL, so sorbitol, mannitol, erythritol, xylitol, there's a whole gamut of them. Now, these are not problems in small doses. In large doses, they have been identified in the literature and academia to start destroying good gut bacteria, as well as they still do have impact on blood sugar. So it's not, even though it says zero sugar, like there still is impact. It's any chemical that goes in your body is going to have a reaction. So does that mean I'm anti anything with sugar alcohols? No, I in fact bought 2 friends today, one of those core waters that also are sweetened with erythritol, sugar alcohol, but they're not as much as the buy drinks. My feeling is this. Number one, water should be your primary beverage. Are you getting recommended 70 ounces of water per day? Of course, that's going to vary depending on your age, your size, your athletic output every single day. So please be wise as you listen to your body and try and do that. But 70 ounces a day is pretty standard. I'd say elderly people, maybe 50 ounces or so, but that's pretty standard for active-ish adults and active teenagers for sure. And unfortunately, I can't tell you how many people I meet in real life, not just here on the virtual media, that I'm like pulling out my hair saying, get your freaking water in your body, my friend. Like, I love you enough to take you by the ears and shake your head a little. And so I need you to make sure you're drinking your water. Secondly, keep the sugar alcohols. If it's over 10 grams of sugar alcohols, you're going to start getting into potential digestive issues. One of the best pranks you can play on someone, please don't do this, but I'm just telling you, one of the best pranks is to give people sugar-free gummy worms because they are packed with sugar alcohols, which are going to upset your tummy and let loose. So just watch out. You don't want those to get too high and you start getting into gut bacteria damage. Secondly, the thing in any beverage, I'm just going to encourage you guys principle-wise, please be looking out for food dyes. Those red dyes, those blue dyes, those purple dyes. I, even at this point, am stepping away from some beverages that you may have seen me posting about last year that I'm like, I drink this and I love this. At this point in my life, I drink water. I drink kombucha. I sweeten my water with, I took the label off because I just ripped off, but this is Stur, S-T-U-R, as well as True Lime, True Lemon, those mixture packets, which are sweetened with stevia, and they're all naturally color enhanced with natural food dyes, or not dyes, but juices and colors. So I would really caution you, the links between brain chemicals and those food dyes are very severe, and that's something simple that you can do to help your health in the long run. So please watch out for that. And yeah, I'll just say I used to be a big Powerade Zero drinker, not because I recommended it for health, but because when I'm teaching 6 hours of dance, like I just wanted something yummy. And now I have my big bottle of like True Lime or True Lemon, or my Stur with my glutamine, my Elite, my electrolyte replacement, which if you don't know about Elite, I'll talk about this in a minute as we talk about electrolytes, but I will just hook you up here. Bud Elite. I think that's my link for it. Anyhow, that's the electrolyte replacement. Super cheap. Make your own Gatorade Powerade for the kids, for yourself. If you're a long distance runner, use Elite, use Stur, get the flavor up, get the electrolytes in there. So much butter, and then you're Gatorade your Powerade. All right, Jenny, you know what? Let's go ahead and give you a book. You're being awesome. So you know the drill. I have your address, I'm sure, somewhere in the gamut, but it'll make my life easier if you just Facebook message me. Just tell me your address. We'll send you a book. Okay? Awesome. Thanks for being here and for participating. Okay, let's move on to our next question. All right. Start. I had weight loss surgery in February. How can I cater to the PFL to a 1,200 to 1,400 calorie diet, keeping carbs low and proteins high while getting enough protein and veggies, eating only 6 to 8 ounces at a time, 3 to 5 times per day? Perfect question. And congratulations on your surgery. And that's super exciting. And I am super proud of you for wanting to really get your nutrition in line to support that weight loss surgery. I have unfortunately watched Several people, not on my recommendation, getting the surgery, but watch them get surgery and then think that they can just go back to old eating patterns, and that's unfortunately not how it works. So I'm super proud of you for having the mindset of wanting to really master your nutrition. Great job. So when it comes to a 1,200 to 1,400 calorie diet, the way that I've constructed the PFL, if you are eating 6 small meals per day, and you remember our peak ranges. So our peak ranges are protein 15 to 30 grams per P, veggies 1 to 2 cups or 1 to 2 fists per V, fats 8 to 12 grams of fat per F, and carbs 20 to 30 grams of carbs per C. Don't worry about the residuals. If this is totally like foreign to you guys, you need to read my book. Go to powerfoodslifestyle.com. I'm assuming you have basic training in that. So the beautiful part of Power Foods Lifestyle is if you will put a P and a V anchor with either a C or an F and hit those peak ranges, you will land yourself at 6 meals a day, you will land yourself around 1,500 calories. So if you're wanting to go down to 1,200 or 1,400, I would just whack one of those meals away, 5 meals a day, because you said 3 to 5 times per day, and I would go PVF baseline. So each of those 5 meals, protein, veggie, fat times 5. And if you wanted to, and that would, if you just did PVF and you followed those peak ranges, that would land you anywhere between 60 to 70 grams of fat per day. And that would also keep your carbs under 100 grams for sure. Okay, and that would just kind of depend on how carby or fats you're choosing, as well as the vegetables. Each protein, 15 to 30 grams for a peak range of protein, is basically 3 to 5 ounces of animal protein. Now, I don't recommend more than 3 sources of animal protein per day. I'm not a huge fan of dairy, so if you don't find you have an issue with dairy and digestive issues and things like that, go ahead and use cottage cheese or plain Greek yogurt for one of those sources of protein. It's usually about half to 2/3 of a cup hits that protein of that 15 grams or so. Or of course a protein shake or one of those can get you in that 15 to 30 gram of protein range. And then it's super, super easy. Now, if you wanted, let's say 1 carb meal a day, well, you just whack out one of the PVFs and you replace it with a PVC, same number of calories if you hit those peak ranges. That gives you about a fist size of carbs in that carb meal. So you could, I call it a floating carb meal, meaning you can put it at breakfast, or if you wanted it at lunch, or if you wanted it at dinner. What matters is that when you eat that PVC meal, you honor the portion size with your protein. Let's say 3 to 4 ounces of chicken. You've got a nice bed of spinach and maybe a little bit of chopped up tomato on it, some celery, some cucumber. And if this is a PVF meal, you could do like 2 teaspoons of olive oil on that. Or you could do 5 to 10 olives and 1 teaspoon of oil. You could do 2 ounces of avocado and use salsa for your dressing. You could do 12 almonds and, just enjoy the spinach with the chicken. That's the thing about peak ranges. It really forces you to get very clear on just how much extra you're adding, and it helps you keep those calories down as well. And that's why I love peak ranges, and it's just a different vernacular than just talking calories. I do highly recommend you track in MyFitnessPal. I do have a video about how to track your macros on MyFitnessPal on my YouTube channel. So if that's new to you, go check that out. Just go to Body Buddies channel on YouTube and just type in macros in the search bar and you should find that video. If you go down to 3 meals per day, I would recommend it not be breakfast, lunch, dinner. If you're gonna eat as few meals as 3 meals a day, I recommend you do intermittent fasting and review that podcast, because that's an 8-hour window that you will be eating. So you eat the beginning of the 8-hour window, at the end of the 8-hour window, and in between. So it's every 4 hours, and each of those meals would probably double in size. But I recommend not doing that because you're trying to keep those meal sizes down due to the surgery and your stomach only being able to handle so much and process things through. So let's try and keep you to 5 meals a day and get the approximate peak ranges in there. And feel free to message me later and I can get you the breakdown of macros per peak range as well. And then you just know, like, oh, for those fats, like that's the serving to hit an F. And it's a little bit of learning on the front side, but on the back side, my gosh, this sets people free for years to come. It's worth the learning of this new way of thinking about food. So I hope that's helpful to you. Okay, next question. I am a woman in my late 50s and relatively healthy, but I want to lose 5 to 10 pounds. How many calories should I be eating? All right, so I feel like you're a little new to Power Foods Lifestyle, which is perfectly fine. Welcome. Because here at Power Foods Lifestyle, I prefer we talk a little bit more about macros because eating, let's say I told you 1,400 calories, if you're somewhat active, right? And it's not like you're going training hard and doing sprints and stuff, but you're getting out and you're being active and you're playing tennis with your friends and maybe you're going and doing an aerobic session once in a while, that sort of thing. Great. Then let's say I say 1,400 calories. Well, 1,400 calories that's high in carbs and low in protein and low in fat will not render you the same results as a moderate protein, moderate carbs, a little bit higher fats. Same amount of calories, totally different distribution and chemistry inside of your body. All of this comes down to us keeping your blood sugar as stable as possible, because only when your blood sugar is stable is your body not distracted by other things going on. When you put a large amount of carbs in your body, let's take for instance those 100 calorie snack packs. Okay, you're looking at like 23 grams of carbs, but let's say that that's the only thing you're eating. There's no protein to anchor that blood sugar. There's no vegetables to absorb into your body and slow that spike of the blood sugar, that fiber helping with that. There's no quality fats to help with satiety. So all you're doing is putting straight up sugar in your body. And even though your calories were in check, once you have glucose in your body, distraction. Your body is no longer in optimization, great brain function, even fat burn. We want our bodies to be it's like a puppy, like just soothe it, like everything's okay, everything's fine, scratch it under the chin. And if you get distracted, whoop, now your body's in absorption mode. Your body's saying sugar's in the body. Your body can only handle 1 teaspoon of sugar at one time. And so basically, like, you've got to really keep carbohydrates under control. And if you're going to eat carbs, you need to package it with a protein. Now, of course, I do explain all of this in my book. If you've read it, please go review chapter, is it 7 on carbohydrates? It's either 6 or 7. I'm 6. Pretty sure it's chapter 6. Go reread that because I talk about the entire blood sugar process, as well as how you need to think about when you eat carbs. You need to ask yourself, I do not believe carbs are bad. I do not, but I believe for every condition we need to think about, is my body able to handle glucose uptake efficiently? If we are older, we're not as able to. If we are inactive, if we are not pushing our heart rates high every single day, we are less able. If our hormones are imbalanced, we are less able. And those glucose receptors are not as strong. And so therefore, if we put too much glucose in the cells, all the little doors on the cells can't open and say, come on in, and utilize that for the brain function or for energy or for storage in the muscle sites and in the liver, then that glucose has nowhere else to go but be shuttled for body fat. Now, here's the fact is, even if you don't eat enough for your body to package it as body fat, the fact is, if you are not able to use it right at that moment, your body will store it for future use, and it will store it as glycogen, the stored form of glucose. Glucose is like pearls. You string it all together in a pearl necklace, and that's glycogen, and that's how it stores it in the event that your blood sugar drops in the future, no incoming fuel, and so it wants to keep it stable. It'll break that glycogen down, those little pearl necklaces, it'll break it down to pearls to get the blood sugar back up. So as you can see, it's a very precarious balance, and the best way to beat this system, here's the good news, I've simplified it for you, and I've already talked about this in the previous question. Small, frequent meals, excuse me, with a PV anchor. That means you have a source of protein, 15 to 30 grams of protein, and a source of veggie, 1 to 2 cups, and either a fat or a carb. Now, fats are designed to help you feel more full. They release the hormone cholecystokinin, CCK, that helps trigger your brain saying, hey, I'm satisfied. So when you're eating in a deficit because you want to shift your body composition, what better strategy than to eat the macronutrient that is designed to help you feel full versus the macronutrient carbs that are not designed to help you feel full, but are just for brain function and energy. It's a very delicate balance between the two. And I find the sweet spot for most women is a baseline of PVF meals, my timer's going to ding, a baseline of primarily PVF meals with a floating carb meal where they say, when do I need that carb today? How am I feeling today? Do I need it in the afternoon? Do I need it as a post-workout? Do I need it as a pre-workout? Do I need it as a dessert? When do I need it? We can talk optimality all day long. 99% of people aren't going to be able to do optimality. I want you to go for sustainability. If you just tell yourself, I get 1 PVC meal a day, and you're eating 4 to 6 small frequent meals of PVC or PVF, and it is okay if you go PVCF, it is perfectly fine, you'll be fine, then ask yourself, where is the most strategic way for me to utilize this carb meal, whether for my energy or for my emotional stability? And yes, it is okay to say that because carbs fuel. And if you're not going straight keto, your brain's still relying on glucose. So there will be a few days of getting used to that depletion. And you may choose to go slowly on dropping the carbs and replacing them with fats. You must replace them with fats. Otherwise, you're in a totally different mess. Yeah, oh gosh, I couldn't speak for hours. You guys know this. But I hope that that helps. Read chapter 7 in my book. Start learning PVF meals. Get in my Power Foods Lifestyle Champions Facebook group. Wonderful, wonderful people in there. Great support group. Unfortunately, it's not the place to ask me questions. If you want that interaction with me on that support level, you need to join Body Buddies World. Go to, I'll type that in, bodybuddiesworld.com. Otherwise, Power Foods Lifestyle Champions is a free group where veterans and new people, and I post in there occasionally and stuff like that, so you can get some great ideas. Okay, next question. We are cruising. All right, does anyone want a t-shirt? If you want a t-shirt, make sure you comment. Tell me what a great Power Foods Lifestyle meal you ate either today or yesterday was, and let's say first person to do that can have a t-shirt. Okay. What's the best exercise to lose weight quickly? How much is too much exercise? All right, pretty simple. If you are spending more than 2 hours in the gym, lifting weights, running on treadmills, and your main goal is fat loss, you are spending too much time exercising. Fat loss is not about workout harder, it's about workout smarter. And this is one of the most frustrating things for people. I had a blog a long time ago before that blog got destroyed, so I don't know if the article's, I don't think it's up anymore, but where a Body Buddies client, she wrote her story. She was a marathon runner, and she was so frustrated that why couldn't she drop the weight? She ran 26 miles. She trained all the time. She's running long distance, and I had to teach her the science. When your body is going for that long, it's not like, hey, let's get rid of all our fat. It's like, hey, let's preserve because we don't know when we're going to stop running. That's not strategic for fat loss. I think it's great for getting yourself moving and motivated and social and things like that. But if your primary goal is fat loss, we need to get you less than 2 hours. I would say even, you don't even need an hour, my friends. Like, I just finished this summer program where I took these women through 45-minute workouts, if even that. And it's about workout strategically. And yes, it's hard. And yes, it's push. So the best way to get weight off quickly, I would say, shift your priorities. On the long term, yes, weightlifting is fantastic. Over the long run, we're talking 1 to 2 years, metabolic rate will increase because the more muscle you have, the more metabolic burn you have. And so, yeah, that's great to burn more calories at rest and things like that. But that's not the short-term fix. That's the long-term, long lifestyle approach. So yes, lifting weights is great. And if you're really wanting to shape your body, if your goal is like fitness, physique type things and development aesthetically, yeah, that is a fundamental part, because you can't just whittle down the body and then build the muscle. Sorry, it doesn't work that way. You got to build the muscle, then whittle it down, okay? Trust me, I've watched too many people try to do that and they get frustrated. They can't put on muscle. I'm like, you're giving nothing to your body. I'm deviating. But the best exercise is to do high intensity interval training, HIIT, H-I-I-T. So HIIT is where you take your heart rate up into the upper threshold of what its maximum is. So some quick math, 220 minus your age. So let's use me, for instance. I'm 31, weird to say that. 220 minus my age is 189, okay? So I am fit, I'm active every single day, and so I will stay at that number. If you are not active every day, it's been some time, you know, you're kind of just like, oh, let's get going. I would encourage you, and you don't think your heart's that strong, I would encourage you to subtract 10 to 15 off that number, and that becomes your new target heart rate. Nope, I lied. That's your max heart rate. Now you're going to take that number and you're going to multiply it by 0.85, and then also 0.9. So 85% of it or 90% of it. And somewhere in that range is your target heart rate. So let's start you out with 5 minutes. And until you can do 5 minutes, I don't want you to do anything else. I want you to go into a 5-minute warm-up, get your core temperature up. I want you to go lift weights for 10 to 15 minutes. And don't worry about it. I really don't even care what style of lifting you do, because that's not where your fat burn is going to happen. Your fat burn is going to happen when you do your cardio correctly. Okay, 5 minutes on the bike. I'd highly recommend not the treadmill unless you're going to keep the thing running. If you're going to run out on a track. Step meal in a swimming pool works great too. I've seen a lot of people do swimming. What else? I do the recumbent bike with my back. That's the only thing I can do. I don't run unless there's zombies. That's the only time I will run, and I will run fast. Not the joke. So 20 seconds on, 40 seconds off. 20 seconds on, 40 seconds off. Times 5. Okay, you've got to get your body warm though. You can't just walk in the gym and do this 5 minutes and be done. If you're going to walk in the gym and do this 5 minutes and be done, you need to give me a 3-minute warm up to get your core temperature up first, minimum 3 to 5 minutes. 20 seconds on, highest intensity. That means high speed, high resistance. I don't care what the numbers are. I want you to quantify that and say, I'm pushing, and I'm going as fast as I can for that 20 seconds. If you can sustain that speed longer than 20 seconds, you're not pushing hard enough. Push harder. Okay, I'm in there going like this. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Push, 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 push. And you don't stop at 18 seconds. You don't stop at 19 seconds. You stop at 20. And then you drop that down. So your goal is to see eventually, for me, it takes 1 to 3 minutes to see my heart rate get up to that target, because each time it's like growing, growing, growing. By that 3rd cycle, I'm like, okay, heart rate is there. And then your goal on that 40 seconds, I literally drop my speed and my resistance down to almost nothing. And I'm just like breathing, and I hold on to my little heart rate things. Or if you have a little Fitbit, I'm like super against those for myself. I am for them for everyone else in the world. For me, I'm like all about this like intuition. Oh, so I don't want like a numerical thing telling me what's going on. Anyhow, so in that 40 seconds, your goal is to have your heart rate drop 10, if not 15 beats per minute. If you're at 15, you're very fit. Good job. Very, very fit. In April, when I was preparing for a solo performance where I had to have 3-minute high intensity heart cardiovascular sustainability, oh my gosh, I could get mine to drop almost 20 beats per minute in that 40 seconds. It was exciting. But if you're getting back in the game, you might only see that heart rate drop 5 beats per minute. If you start to get lightheaded, please stop. And even if it's 2 minutes, if that's what you start out, that's fine. Give yourself 1 to 3 weeks of this in order to condition yourself back up. Don't do this more than maximum 5 times a week. You really don't need to. You can absolutely tack on 10, 20, maybe 30 minutes of steady state cardio after this, but strategically, you want to do this first before the steady state cardio. So that is the quickest way to lose body fat. Does it matter if you do it fasted? I get that question a lot. I have a YouTube video all about it. The science says no. Get in there. What's sustainable, 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 sustainable? You want to break down hundreds of thousands of academic studies in nutrition and fitness and say what's best? Whatever's sustainable for you. There's the answer. Okay, let's go on. I've had constipation issues, which seems unusual with the amount of vegetables I'm eating. I only eat 1 to 2 servings of nuts per day. Sounds like this is a person who's had some Power Foods lifestyle training. I drink about 96 ounces of water. I've been eating a lot of ground turkey lately. I bought like 20 pounds at Costco. Could that be the problem? I've had issues with this in the past. Okay, so let me go back to my comment about this person is Power Foods lifestyle trained, because typically speaking, when a person is following Power Foods lifestyle 90%, I always double check if they are doing more than 2 servings of nuts per day or nut butter, both of those constitute as nuts, then that can sometimes result in constipation. Now, what's a serving of nuts? Palm of your hand. That's about 1/8 of a cup or 2 tablespoons. Not a lot. Not a lot at all. Whether it's seeds like pumpkin seeds, pine nuts, chia seeds, whatever the nut or the seed is, that is the portion size for a fat, an F, 8 to 12 grams of fat. I've done the work for you. All you gotta do is remember nuts and seeds, palm of your hand, 2 tablespoons is an F, okay? So usually I will have someone cut back on the nuts and nut butter they will doing, and that solves the problem. Sometimes it's not drinking enough water, sometimes it's not getting enough fiber and vegetables, but this person is doing all of those correctly. So eating a lot of ground turkey, let's qualify that. I will tell you what I I would say is too much ground turkey. Ground turkey more than once per day, I wouldn't recommend it. If we're utilizing animal protein that much without variety, we're going to lack, some of the chemicals and some of the vitamins that we need, as well as it can become too much. If you're doing that much ground turkey, if you're doing, let's say, 2 servings per day, then I'd rather you be on the low side of the peak ranges, and this is assuming you're a female. The low side of the peak range would be 3 ounces of ground turkey. If you're on the high side, it'd be 5 ounces. If you're a male, your peak range is 4 to 6 ounces of meat. So let's look at that. I wouldn't say that's causing the constipation, but I would look at other things that may contribute. Number one, what is your sugar alcohol intake? Okay, sometimes that can loosen things up, sometimes that can stop things. The key is to look at what the culprits are. Okay, another thing to look at would be, are you getting in the healthy oils that are needed? Coconut oil, avocado oil, extra virgin olive oil, MCT oil. A lot of people don't know what MCT oil is. Really quick, medium chain triglycerides. It is the short chains of oils. So coconut oil is a long chain triglyceride. It has 70% MCTs. And so if you get that long chain removed, so it doesn't go solid at room temperature, it'll remain viscous and remain liquid, like MCT oil does if you take out those 30% long chains, and then all of a sudden you have 100% MCT oil. So coconut oil can transform into MCT oil, and it's all therapeutic for the brain. Is it a superfood? No. If you've seen all the blog posts and things, this German professor going around saying all this crap on coconut oil, here's the simple answer to that one is coconut oil is fine, but there's no superfood. Read my book. There's no superfood. No food should be like looked to as the end all be all, and you need to rotate those things out, especially oils. No more than 2 tablespoons per day. You don't need more than that. Okay, you're not going to benefit your body by doing more than that. The only time I'd say maybe a little asterisk on that is if you're in keto and we're really having a hard time getting fats up while keeping carbs low, because I don't want those necessarily coming from more bacon. So going back to your question, any other things that are keeping or making you constipated? I'd ask, how much traveling are you doing? How much stress do you have in your life? How well are you sleeping? Constipation really can come from a lot of different areas. And gosh, I should have brought my book in here. I have a book from Feelings Buried Alive, Never Die, if that's new to you. If you have worked with me one-on-one, you may recognize I pull out the book and we talk about symptoms. And after we address nutrition, fitness, and mindset things, we next go into the emotions and what could be causing symptoms to manifest in the emotion fields. And so I'd recommend getting the book or just Googling online, Feelings Buried Alive, Never Die. It's a fantastic read. I fully believe in those modalities in conjunction with nutrition, fitness, mindset, spirituality. They're all interrelated. And the key for us and for you is to ask yourself, where am I blocked? What's holding me back? And it's going to change and vacillate from time to time. So that's my final thing is, if you are doing everything right, PFL, you're getting in your avocado, you're getting in your variety of olives, you're getting in 1 to 2 servings of the oils, your nuts are staying down. One thing you can do, you can try sauteing spinach in grass-fed butter. So a serving of vegetables, again, 1 to 2 handfuls of spinach. What's a serving of butter? 2 teaspoons. That's an F, 2 to 3 teaspoons. So just under a tablespoon, and that's an F. And try that with a meal. Maybe put in some shredded chicken with that, and that should move things right along. One last thing, magnesium. Are you doing my typical recommendation for all adults? 400 to 600 milligrams of magnesium. Glycinate is most bioavailable, but I also, I personally use like chelate right now. Oxide is cheaper. I don't know, it's neither here nor there. Like if that's all you can afford, that's fine. But just, we need to supplement with magnesium unless you're eating 6 to 8 cups of dark leafy greens like chard and kale and your collard greens. If you're getting in all those veggies, you have enough magnesium. Congrats. Most of us aren't. So try the magnesium. That is the magical mineral, feeds into 300 enzyme processes and going to really help with the movement in that colon as well as help with sleep. So I hope that's helpful to you. All right, next, I'm contemplating doing the 10-day detox. I eat PVF meals and have some carbs once in a while. Should I do the detox, or am I basically already doing it? I want to lose more body fat and get rid of the full filling in my bowels, but would the meals in the detox with fruit and carbs in them be counterproductive? Okay, fantastic. So those of you who have never done the 10-day Power Foods detox, it is a great thing to do. Reset, I designed it to be something you could even do once a month. I just had my 30-day challenge, and several of the ladies in that chose to do the 10-day detox 3 times back to back for the 30 days and had phenomenal results, and that was awesome. To keep, number one, on a psychological level as well as physiological, to keep the variety of foods to a minimum is very helpful. I would honestly say more so psychologically, in terms of you kind of shut off in your mind all of the variety. Variety is what trips people up in Power Foods Lifestyle. Now, I'm not saying you can't have variety, but I'm saying you need to be trained and you need to have a lot of time behind you in Power Foods Lifestyle strategy if you're going to fly with variety. Otherwise, you're going to roll back into the old ways. You need to have 6 to 12 months of PFL seriousness under your belt. That totally took me off track. So going back to, we're talking detox. Okay, so the less variety in foods, it keeps you just repeating. It keeps you on a pattern. It cognitively just allows you to stop creating loopholes for yourself, whether at a social gathering, whether dining out, whether traveling, whether you're just home and had a bad day. It just really is like, no, this is what I'm eating right now. And so that makes it super easy. It makes meal prep so much easier. It makes shopping so much easier. And so whenever all those things are easier, guess what happens? You're more consistent. You get the results. Consistency is huge. I had a 1-hour meeting today with a woman where I had to say, I'm sorry, your daughter did not get the results. Her consistency was horrible, horrible, okay? And we're working on it, and she knows what she needs to do, but I cannot force this, and neither can you. She has to choose to be consistent and compliant when she is ready. And that's just the name of the game. We can't force our way around it. You can't skinny wrap or latte or skinny drink or detox drink your way into it. You got to get compliant, and that's the name of the game, my friends. I think doing the detox for you would be great. Accelerating fat loss, in terms of if we just talk on the strategy of incoming foods, incoming proteins and carbs and fats, I don't necessarily think it will accelerate fat loss, because the carb cycle in phase 2, so days 4, 5, and 6, you're not bringing in tons of carbs. It's kind of like it's up to you. The Power Foods Lifestyle Detox is very open for a reason, because I'm not trying to tell you exactly macros and calories. That's not what the detox is about. It's about getting the right foods in you and training you. Number one goal on my detox is to get people falling in love with more PVF meals. That is the power of getting a baseline of PVF meals and then add your carbs into it. It's like, here's your kingdom, and go ahead, you can have this additional castle and this additional castle, but you need to have your kingdom of PVF meals first. So yes, do the detox. You don't have to do fruit. There's no rule that you have to do the fruit. Fruit isn't going to make you stop losing weight, okay? Everyone's liver's ability to process, to go through fructolysis, to take a glucose molecule and to go through the process of having it resemble, taking a fructose molecule and having it resemble a glucose molecule so it can actually be utilized. Everyone has a different amount of liver processing power. And so the key is we don't want to get too much fructose in the liver at once for that process. And so for that reason, my recommendation of keeping half a cup of fruit no more than 2 times a day, because it's sugar, okay? And it's still gonna have impact on blood sugar, while maybe not as dramatically as eating half a cup of Cheerios. I mean, half a cup of blueberries will still have an impact on blood sugar. I would say, look at your consistency. I would say, look at how you're training. Look at, honestly, it sounds like things are pretty dialed in. So if the Power Foods Detox is, as far as having a psychological, like 10 days, like let's focus. There's so many other aspects of the detox that are not just the food-based things. The sauna, fantastic to do. Just for helping your body free itself of toxins, those free radicals that detach whenever we're eating. It's a natural part of eating. So those free radicals, if they do not get moved from the body, then they can latch onto organs or tissues that they are not supposed to. That causes inflammation, the root cause of all disease. All of the issues that I see in people's lives, whether on Facebook or in the news or in the media, like It's pervasive. Let's face it, we're living in a very tough medical reality right now with our bodies. And if someone is already diagnosed, I have all the sympathy and empathy in the world, and I will hug them and say, I'm so sorry, that absolutely sucks. But if we're on the front end of it, I'm going to tell you, you have a lot of power in the prevention of this. And nobody wants to hear this when they're diagnosed. And that's why if you're diagnosed with something, get off this for a second, because I don't want you to come frustrated with me. But if you're on the front end, yes, you do have a lot of power in this, okay? So you've got to get your body free of those, anything that is going to stay in your body. You only get rid of toxins 3 ways. Elimination, that means pooping, sweating, and exhalation. Fun fact, if you didn't know this, how does your body get rid of body fat? Oh, well, your little adipose tissue, right? So you have a carbon backbone, you have fatty acid chains. When your body is in a deficit and the situation's right, the blood sugar, everything in your body's like, whoa, we need fuel. Well, guess what? It strips the carbon from the fatty acid chains. Fatty acid chains go through and eliminated. What does the carbon do? Have you ever heard of carbon dioxide? There you go. You exhale your fat. Isn't that cool? All right, next question. I realized one of my biggest fears is feeling like I will be liked less by my family for losing weight. Oh, this is good. They are all heavier and have always given little jabs that I'm the smaller one, even when I'm not that small. They are meaning to be funny, but it gets to me. Because of this, I have binged frequently with my family or at home. Then I feel guilty and limit my food the following days. It's depressing. Thank you so much, Kristy Jo, for helping us learn that food is our friend. Do you have any more advice for keeping me focused and not losing my current mindset? Okay, so it sounds like you've recognized what's happened in the past and you've learned that food isn't something to be held back or skimped on or to look at as the enemy. Food is not the enemy here. So I'm very proud of you for getting to that point. Just a few comments on this. I'm glad you can recognize cultural programming, meaning culture of your family, people you're around, people you love, the way you grew up, the mindsets and the viewpoints of parents is huge in how we all view food, which is why my academy helps with that reprogramming process and shifting your views and your perspectives about food, about your body, and about what's reality. So that is an important reprogramming process. I will say if you're not feeling like you're 100% there, I highly recommend doing the academy. Okay, it's psychological, nutrition, it's everything weaved together in the education process you need for 12 weeks. Family impact is huge in that every single one of you watching this is going to have a different situation. I really don't recommend going and becoming a hermit and hiding from all social interactions. I mean, the point of losing the weight or feeling better in our bodies is to engage more with people and to enjoy our experience more, not to live in a quiet sub-reality of posting selfies to Instagram because that's the only way to get our validation because we separated ourselves from humanity. Do we see that sometimes? Yes, we do. And so, number one, always my first comment, it's amazing to me how many families do not communicate well. Sure, they get together, they have fun, they play games, they joke, and they jab at each other, but many families do not actually communicate. They do not share feelings. They do not share their wishes, their deep desires of their hearts. If your family does, great, utilize that. If your family does not, perhaps now is the time. Now, it's hard to say, every dynamic's different, and you may be, you might not feel safe and overly vulnerable to do that, and that's fine. You got to figure out for you, but I would recommend pull aside a few people one at a time. Don't do it in a group. Make the phone call. Say, I was just wondering if I could talk to you about something. I recognize that our family isn't the leanest. We're not the leanest on the block. We've got some health issues going on, and I recognize this, and I know that everyone in our family just says it's like our genetics, but I'm really learning in some of these education processes I'm in that doesn't have to be true, and I really would like to work on some things in my own life. I'm not asking you to join me. I'm not asking you to be a part of what I do. If you'd like to, of course, I'll welcome you, but I'm just asking for your helping me not sabotage this? Is there anything you're willing to do to help me when our family gets together? I will tell you there's not 10 out of 10 families that I have had people do that and have those conversations, make the call to the mother-in-law who always gives you the cinnamon rolls and the breads. It's called, if you don't communicate, you're making an assumption that their feelings are going to be hurt. And if you just don't eat their food, yeah, then there's an assumption made. Until communication happens, then assumptions are all over the board. People take things personally. You don't want to make people feel bad. You don't want people to judge you. And that's really something that comes down to some personal codes of conduct. And you've got to challenge the notion that you're living your life in a way that you don't want to disturb other people or have them think less of you. It's time to step up and be your highest self, which is true to yourself, not in a disrespectful way, not in a condescending way to anybody, but in a very highly communicative and clear way that you help others know what you're about, what you'd like to accomplish, and you are resolute in knowing what you want. So I will go back to my very, very first piece of advice in question 1, which is write your code of conduct. What will you do in those situations when family is sitting there eating all the cornbread and all the tortillas, and then they're having cookies and pie for dessert, and you're like, yo, today's not a carb day for me? Are you going to be the person that's like, well, I can't make them feel bad, I'll just do a carb day tomorrow? If you're serious with your goals, no. Do you. And do them a favor by communicating beforehand so there aren't hurt feelings. And sometimes, like, I'll just quickly share with you, because there's so many situations I'm put in, people don't know who I am or what I do. And heaven forbid I expect that of people. No, I'm just a girl showing up to a function, right? So in those moments, especially if it's like people that I'm like, oh, I want them to really like me, I simply explain. I rarely say, well, I'm a nutritionist, so I don't eat that. No, I will never put my healthy eating style on what I do. No, that's me. That's what I choose to do. My body just doesn't agree with that food. I have a sensitivity to that food. Oh man, I wish I could. It upsets my stomach every time. Those are the things I pull. Whether or not it's factual, that's up for you and your level of development in life. If you can't, I don't know. I have no problem saying those types of things. So anyway, I hope that's helpful. Great job in the new mindset. Keep it going. Write that code of conduct and consider the communication aspect, and maybe even, get with a friend or a family member that does get what you're going for and brainstorm, because they know the people in your family. They know their personalities, how they'll respond. But even then, don't make assumptions. Don't make assumptions. Okay, get clear, ask questions. All right. Oh, I didn't address a big thing though, which was a fear is being liked less by my family for losing the weight. Well, that means living your life for other people's approval. And unfortunately, my friends, that is a reality. You've got to break that, because that is not your job to control other people's emotions. That's called trying to impose on agency, which even God himself will not do. If you believe in God, which I do, I believe that agency is the greatest gift he gave us, and he will not impose on that choice. Therefore, we as simple human beings cannot do that to other people. We choose our path, let other people work on their own journey, their own refinement, and don't step in front of them and try to manipulate how they feel. That's kind of a harsh way of saying it. I wish I had more time to say that a little more eloquently, but consider that. Consider stopping imposing on their agency. Okay, next question, and I'm already over time, so I am just going to quickly answer these. Can Greek yogurt make me bloated tonight? I noticed I was, which is unusual. Being bloated used to be a part of my normal everyday life. I also noticed occasionally protein bars do the same thing. Okay, fantastic. So it sounds like you do have a dairy sensitivity. 70% of people do. I recommend most people get off dairy. Most people don't do it until they have digestion issues, or until they have some form of arthritis, or they have some form of headaches or sinus issues. I am off dairy because if I do dairy, I have a postnasal sinus drip and sinus infections, which it took me years to figure out why I couldn't breathe through my nose. I just thought I had a deviated septum. No, it was dairy. So I've been dairy-free for about a year and a half now. I'll occasionally do it, and every time I do dairy, I'm reminded why I don't do dairy, because it comes back and I get inflamed and it's yucky. And so that's unfortunately what happens for most of us when we're dealing with a condition. A really quick history on it. So the research is linked to, there was an off-break, like if we go back to the nomads and all the hunter-gatherer, right? There was a group of people in our history that, I'm not going to go into nitty-gritty. You can research it more if you want. I find it interesting that there was a group that broke off. Some of them had access to those types of dairy products while the others did not. So 30% of them, the break off they did have, and so they have the enzymes to properly process the lactose sugar in dairy, while 70% of people do not. Whether it's not that they don't have any of the enzyme, it's just not enough of it. And so while you may not be lactose intolerant and throw the label on it, you may notice you have a sensitivity. And so I'd say you're lactose sensitive. And so if that's the case, I highly encourage you maybe look at different protein options instead of the dairy, 2 to 3 servings of animal protein a day. I'm more a fan of eggs over meat. I personally do meat maybe twice a day. Usually it's once a day for me. Otherwise it is eggs and a protein powder, which I do. I have all my protein powders listed. I will drop you a link right here, bodybuddies.com/protein. So I have all my training there, because I really don't like the questions about is this product okay for me to be doing? No, my job as a strategist is to teach you what to look for, because it's not a yes, no. It's not. It's a what's your situation, what's your goals, what are you experiencing, blah, 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 blah. And some people don't like that about me, and that's fine. They're not true body buddies. Body buddies are critical thinkers. You are here because you want to become a strategist of your own health, be empowered. You're at a higher level of thinking rather than just a yes, no person. So great job. Let's see. As the same thing, so protein bars, the reason for the sensitivity to those is the whey protein. Whey protein can be something a lot of people are sensitive to. It is dairy, if you didn't know that. And so I'd recommend going to egg protein next. If egg even upsets you, which there is a pretty large demographic of people that don't do egg very well, then you go to a vegan plant-based protein, okay? Last question, my exercise was walking during lunch break. I noticed my right leg cramps off and on, so I added half a banana to my protein shake tonight. Okay. I'm not a big fan of bananas at all. I also get cramps at night when I sleep. Is there anything I can do with my nutrition to help with this? Funny story really quick. So the guy I'm dating, I'm over at his place last night, and I see that there's bananas there, and he's like trying to hide them. I'm like, dude, it's fine. Like, he's like someone that does endurance races, like Spartan races. Like, that's a different type of athleticism that bananas would be fine for. For the lay person who is sitting behind a desk 8 hours a day, who's maybe not working out every day, no, bananas are not our friend, especially if we're trying to lose body fat. So, anyhow, here's the fact. Avocados have twice as much potassium in them as bananas. Woo! And none of the starch and sugar and the fats that help our hormones. Like, it's a win-win-win-win-win for avocados, and a very small win with a lot of not so good over with the bananas. I'm not a fan of bananas. I'm a fan of bananas in half a banana. For kids, I'm okay with it for kids. I'm talking for adults who are not healthy, who are trying to lose weight. No, okay? So I'd rather throw into your protein shake half an avocado. You'd be amazed. It makes it very creamy and rich. Do some cashew milk, do some protein powder, do some avocado, a handful of spinach, maybe a half cup of frozen berries. Little Chinese 5-spice. Fun fact, do a few little nicks of that. Amazing. So also cramps at night when you sleep, 400 milligrams of magnesium and Elite. I already hooked you up with the link up above, bit.ly/BODBUDS Elite. It's like $8. Use my code BODBUDS to save 20% if you really want to save $1.60. Otherwise, just buy the $8 bottle. Case in point, my mother, who for years, it's genetic. My whole extended family on her side gets leg cramps at night. I sometimes get them so, oh gosh, I'm talking so long, but I think this is important. So I used to get them super, super bad until I really figured out this electrolyte thing. I have very severe electrolyte imbalance that I now have figured out. Woohoo! But I didn't have it figured out for a few years. So I would get these insane cramps at night to the point of crying and crawling out of bed, army crawling to the kitchen, trying to get water or figure something out to get rid of these cramps. So, in my early like college years and dance years, like I would do pickle juice because I, heard sodium would help with it, and I heard that that's what football players did. So I tried that. So at this point in my training and learning and experiencing in life, so I will tell you, sodium is a very important part of it. If you are following Power Foods Lifestyle, 80% plus or so, you need to be salting your foods. Otherwise, your sodium's too low, and that's electrolyte imbalance. Your sodium, you need about 22 to 2,500 milligrams of sodium every single day. Potassium, I have tracked macros and nutrients on thousands of Power Foods menus, Power Foods Lifestyle menus, and potassium may or may not be deficient depending on how much avocado you're eating. And so if you are not having at least 2 full servings of complex carbs, I'm talking oats, brown rice, quinoa, sweet potatoes, etc. If you're not having at least 2 of those a day and the rest of your meals are PVF, you need to be supplementing with potassium. Anywhere from 100 to 200 milligrams per day. Probably not at the same time, more like breakfast and lunch or pre or post-workout. Play around with that, but that usually helps. 400 to 500 or 600 sometimes for even some people, milligrams of magnesium every single night. Take it at night because it feeds into the sleep system as well. Case in point, I'm getting back to the story. So my mom, she's had these for years, and I've been telling her, once I got mine figured out a few years ago and got all the electrolyte stuff balanced, she just was like, no. I took home the Elite that I hooked you guys up with. I took it home, gosh, 6 months ago. No, it was Christmas. It was Christmas last year. And I was like, Mom, just try this. Put this under her tongue. And the next morning, she walks into me in her nightgown. I'm pretty sure at the time, I was on Snapchat at the time. I'm off Snapchat in case you're wondering. I'm done. Whatever. We'll talk about that another time. I Snapchatted it in her nightgown. I said, Mom, tell everybody what happened. She's like, no cramps. And I was like, who was right? Who was right? So anyhow, just kind of a fun story. It really, really makes a big difference. So get your potassium up, add in the avocado, do Elite, especially before bed, do your magnesium, and that is absolutely critical. Okay, I'm just going to scroll through here. I know I wasn't really paying attention to the chat this whole time, so thanks for joining, you guys. So let's see what's going on. I doubt you'll have time for an extra question, but originally I was scheduled to still be at work. If there's time, I'd be super grateful. Roxy, give it to me. Let's see. I don't know if you put it down. Kristy, I've also had weight loss surgery. I tell you, the lifestyle's been the best diet I've ever been on as far as having the smaller meals more frequently. That's awesome, Kristy. Thank you so much for sharing. Roxy says orange mango chicken with kale and brown rice. That sounds yummy. Just watch out for the sugar in the orange mango chicken. But that does sound delicious. Kristy, egg white omelet with zucchini and guacamole. Oh, now I remember why you guys put it, because you wanted a t-shirt. How about, I'll give 3 t-shirts. How about Roxy, Kristy, and Jenny? Tuna salad with tomatoes and mayo. As far as mayo being the fat, yes, that absolutely will function as a fat, not our most strategic fat. So I'll just encourage you, because that's soybean oil. And so that's going to be something that causes those LDL cholesterols to come up. Okay, once in a while. That's powerful. Like, there's no bad food, right? But I'm just hoping that that's just like, just for all of our people who are new. I know you're trained in this, Jenny. And so for those who aren't, just consider that that's more of a once in a while thing, and maybe another time it's more like guacamole, or it's more like olives, or it's more like, what other fats would I put in tuna? I would put nuts. I could do some slivered almonds and pine nuts. That actually might be yummy, wrapped in like green leaf lettuce or something. So anyway, Roxy, Kristy, Jenny, why don't you guys Facebook message me, whether on my personal or on Body Buddies, whatever, with your addresses and the size. And then I will just see, I have like multiple types of t-shirts. So I don't know what I have of what sizes, but I'll check them out and let you know. Alaya was here. What up? All right, Hataki, am I saying that right? Probably not, I'm sorry. If you can answer this question, it'd be great. I drink big amounts of water due to diabetes. Insipid is excessive thirst and urination. Okay, what food helps replenish electrolytes? So that question that I just barely answered, I want you to get your avocado in there, if not once, twice a day. I want you to salt every single meal that you are eating with pink Himalayan salt or sea salt. And I want you to do 400 milligrams of magnesium or 500 milligrams of magnesium at night. You may try that first, and if you're still noticing like your blood pressure is super low, you're getting dizzy when you stand up, that's my issue. I have very low blood pressure. I will pass out if I stand up too fast, which doesn't work well for dance with some of the moves I do. And so like I'm teaching class, I'm like, whoa, I need a minute, guys. And like I get a little like shaky and I'm like, okay, that's when I know I go to my bag and just do some Elite under my tongue. So I keep Elite with me, especially teaching dance and during workouts, and just do a few drops under my tongue. And so nice. I also have one, or so nice. I also have one I keep on the nightstand where I sleep, just in case I wake up with cramps. I just and literally within 2 minutes, that cramp just goes, and I'm like, oh, so it's awesome. So that would be my recommendation for you, and especially, and this is hard for any electrolyte displacement. Oftentimes people are drinking too much water and those electrolytes will get flushed out. And so some people have in their mind, I don't know why, because I have not been teaching this for at least 4 years. They still have in mind this weird notion that everyone needs to drink a gallon of water a day. No, I have absolved that long ago. So, and the only reason, like, you have to remember, when I started Body Buddies, it was for bodybuilders. It was for people who wanted to do physique competitions. So it's a totally different demographic. We're dealing with a different demographic now. And so 70 ounces of water, if you are still displacing a lot of electrolytes, try those key things I just pointed out, and hopefully that is helpful. Okay. Oh, it looks like my protein link didn't work. So I think it's powerfoodslifestyle.com/protein. I think that's the right protein one. So I have a video. Watch the video. It's like 5 minutes long, and then I link it from top to bottom. And there you go. All right, Roxy, I'm missing a thyroid and I'm on desiccated thyroid hormones. So glad you're on desiccated hormones. Yay. Are there any foods that assist with thyroid supplementation naturally? So that's a great question. And if you haven't seen my webinar on it's hypothyroidism, thyroidectomy, even hyperthyroidism, 90% of the same principles. Gosh, what is the URL for that? I am pretty confident this is your URL. I have a 70-minute webinar just for you. Free. powerfoodslifestyle.com/webinar. If that's not it, message me later. I'll have to go into the software and look at, I mean, I got stuff all over. Who can remember it all? But that will have all of that information, what you can be doing, what also you can be supplementing with. Selenium and iodine may be something you want to consider. Please check with your doctor before doing all those. Anything with the thyroid, you do want to double check all my recommendations. It is a large demographic I do work with, but please still check with your doctor before adding or taking away anything. I have multiple people that I've worked with who have thyroidectomy that Power Foods Lifestyle has been a huge blessing to. So if you don't yet have the Power Foods list, make sure you get that Power Foods list. Consider joining Academy. It's the best 12 weeks of just train for the rest of your life, and you get the Academy for life. Like, a lot of people that have done it before have been like, how do I re-sign up? I want to do it again. I'm like, girlfriend, like, it's yours. Like, get in there and do it. Like, you don't need to pay again. So I hope that that's something you will consider. Sunflower seed oil based meal. Get it, girl. Love it. Good job. Okay, Roxy, they were small amounts of orange and mango and a lot more veggies than I could even type. More of a stir fry. I taught my girls a hip hop move that was like, ooh, that was what I just wanted to do. So that's how I feel about that. That's awesome. Kristy, I'm starting the 10-day detox on Sunday. Can't wait to do it again. Fantastic. Awesome, awesome. Make sure that you go re-listen to the podcast about how to make fasting enjoyable. That's a good one to listen to on day 0 when you are doing the fast. I think we've covered it all. Definitely get your books and those foods the girls posted earlier. Sounds some yummy. Awesome. Yeah, go to powerfoodslifestyle.com. That's where I package it all in the starter kit. Makes it cheaper than buying everything a la carte. And just so you know, my recipe books are all digital. We did try doing print for a while. I mean, volume 1, I do have print versions available. You can message me. I don't have any like sales page up for it just because I like having them in a box to use whenever I want for stuff. But if you want one, just message me and we can figure that out for you. So, okay, sorry, I'm getting messages up the wazoo. I think we're done. I think it's time. Yep, I have a gym date in 10 minutes, so I better get going. But thank you guys for being here. I am going to strip this audio and put it on the next podcast episode, so our podcast listeners who weren't able to make it tonight or watch this on the recording will be able to listen to this. So whether you're watching this live on the recording or listening to it later on the podcast, thanks for being a body buddy. Again, it means that you are at a higher level of thinking, wanting to be empowered, wanting to find solutions. You're done with the quick fixes. You're done with the emotional sabotage of, trying to get results quickly, and you're ready to find sustainable, true solutions. So I'm proud of you for that. It takes us, we all have a unique journey to get there, and we're all constantly learning, but I'm proud of you for making those decisions. So keep doing it, keep being your best. You know what to do. Power your body. One meal, one workout, one day at a time.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review on iTunes. You can learn more about Body Buddies and Power Foods Lifestyle by going to www.body-buddies.com, BODY-BUDDIES.com, and powerfoodslifestyle.com. That's www.powerfoodslifestyle.com.
Information in this episode is provided for informational purposes and is not meant to substitute the advice provided by your own physician or other medical professional. Information and statements regarding dietary supplements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.